Before we get to some Ohio State stuff, I actually think the biggest news of the day is what came out of Ann Arbor, and I see you smiling, so I know you've seen it.
Go ahead, Ryan. I'll let you go first. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
I'll let you go first. Yeah.
For those who haven't seen the news yet, the former co-offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach Matt Weiss has been arrested and charged in a 24-count indictment for his alleged participation while he was employed with Michigan of cybercrimes. And what he was alleged to do was hacking into over 3,000 different college students, personal accounts. So I'm talking emails, iCloud accounts, all kinds of nasty stuff. And he did this at like over 100 universities. And now we know why the mysterious firing happened.
I'll read this real quick. Just to put some context.
Go ahead.
After gaining access to the databases, Weiss downloaded the personally identifiable information and medical data over 150,000 athletes.
Yeah, so 150,000 athletes. He seemed to be targeting female athletes the most. He was trying to get into their into personal photos for his own use. Let's just put it that way. It's honestly
it's nasty, dude.
It's honestly some pretty disgusting stuff.
Yeah, nasty.
And now we know why we now know why Michigan fired him in the first place. Yeah. They were very mysterious about why they fired him. It was just, improper computer crimes. And now they went ahead and did that. And it's if he is found guilty and convicted, he could spend decades in prison. So this is something that is not just a slap in the wrist. Like, this is the FBI was involved. This is who's charging them is, the United States Department of Justice, which means this was an FBI-led investigation. So I know there was a lot there. What were your initial thoughts about this whole situation?
Yeah. I had posed this question earlier on X to a Michigan fan, but basically all Michigan fans.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Daniel, good to see you in here. Sage, thanks for showing up. Tuki G, don't think I've ever seen you before, man. Good to see you in here. Welcome to the Boys College Football, Ohio State, prime time, man. But my first thought, right, was, okay, well, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
And I thought, and I asked the question, I posed, I said, okay, well, based off of what we know for the last 2 years, did the prior staff or does the current administration have a vetting problem?
It seems to me like they do. Yeah. I would go ahead and say that they might.
Yeah, and so I sat here, I thought to myself, what are we talking about here? We're talking about this guy right here who's being the FBI has his ass, okay? Let's just call it what it is. By the way, everybody, the FBI, I think, has about a 90 to 92 conviction rate when they got you. Mind you, they never, listen, over 20 years, they went up to Michael Jackson, couldn't get him, but they got his ass. He's done, okay?
Yeah.
So there's that. Then you're talking about hiring Shimmy Schembechler, whereas, like, if you just went through his tweets, you would have found out the guy's a racist.
Yep.
And if he ain't racist, the guy is highly bigoted.
At best.
At best. And then we're talking about another guy on your football. This is all football staffing. You're talking about another guy who just happens to like little children.
Yeah.
So my whole question was, like,
they also had a guy on staff who stole a bunch of signals and did illegal stuff there. Yeah. So add that to the list.
Out of the four, he's the saint.
Yeah, so, that's true.
So, like, my question is, like, is the vetting process not what it should be? And weirdly, some Michigan fans got upset at me saying that, and they want to bring up things like Zach Smith. Where honestly, Zach, here we go. honestly, guys, listen, if you do your research, if you figure things out, you would honestly go out and see he was never charged for anything. Yeah, if you want to talk about sex toys, go ahead. I don't care. That ain't got nothing to do with me. But what you don't get to do is make up lies about something that wasn't true. And even when her own mom and her own dad sat there and said she's lying. So I don't care about that. But the gross part is when you sit here and do but what they did when we're talking about a situation like this actually harmed a bunch of 18, 19, 21, 21-year-olds, maybe 17-year-olds. That's what we're talking about here. In the simple fact, I'm sorry, Ryan. I got to go on this. In the simple fact that a bunch of these, calm down, Garrison. The simple fact that a bunch of these Wolverine fans, or not a bunch, some of these Wolverine fans will nonchalantly bring up things that have nothing to do with this, and they don't understand, guys. Like, I'm not. This isn't me coming at you as a fan base. This isn't me talking crap about your institution. I'm sitting here simply saying the vetting process is not as tough as it should be, and that going forward, Sharon Moore, because this is not his problem, Sharon Moore, along with Santa Ono and Ward Manuel, they should go ahead and make sure that the process is done better. And mind you, I also want to tell you this, Ryan, everyone else, I just so happen to have a source. And that person's source, Ryan, you know who their mentor is? It just happens to be a very highly known AD of who we're talking about here, okay? And this is what this person told me, all right? I asked them about like the vetting process not as tough as it should be, of all that. This is what they said. They said, listen, when you talk about athletic department, you have the AD of staff compliance, the AD of student access, and the AD who works on vetting. They said, and that's twice removed from the admin. All of them should have. I understand people saying, how are they supposed to know this happened beforehand? Guys, the University of Michigan, it is the most important public university in the United States. That's a fact. If they want to figure something out, they can figure it out. And then this person told me this. It's one of three things. Either the head coach doesn't have respect for the administration. I think they said to me, I think that Jim Harbaugh respects Ward Manuel at the end of the day. They said either that or you made the wrong hire at head coach. At the end of the day, you didn't make the wrong hire at head coach. They said so it has to be one other thing. The administration gave the coach too much power. And they didn't check it.
Well, either that or they just simply don't care, which would be more concerning, quite frankly. Look, I've seen Michigan fans also throwing the Zach Smith stuff out there. You won't catch me defending Zach Smith, but what I will say is this stuff is much, much worse. I mean, this is violating personal, like just personal lives, and going, like you mentioned, there are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. There might even be some that, could potentially be underage. We don't know. We don't know. Regardless, he was intentionally doing this malicious act to obtain these, the access to these accounts for his own gross personal gain. And the fact that it went on for a couple of years without them even knowing about it, that's a problem. And there are some other things that I'd like to talk to you about without getting into wild speculation about, what could potentially, have happened. But I have seen some.
Am I back, Ryan? You hear me?
Yeah, I got you back.
Right. Oh, by the way, I do have a speculation of what we would do.
Well, I'm going to go with this first because I think it might be the same thing. So,
okay.
I've got some people. I've got some people that I talk to, around campus. And again, this is just speculation. No one has any proof of this. This is not a sourced report by any means. This is just some people that I talk to that we trust, that, you know, we're just spitballing stuff, that the whole reason that the Michigan cheating scandal even got found out about is because the FBI was investigating this guy. And then they found a whole lot more than they were bargaining for. They found, oh, well, shit, they've got other stuff on here they shouldn't have. Maybe this Weiss guy, you know, hacked into Ohio State practice footage and other practice footage from other teams, and that's what they found. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But the timeline seems to kind of line up as far as when they started investigating Weiss, and then when we found out that Connor Stallions did his thing. So again, I'm not reporting this. Like, I don't have a source on this, but that's just some speculation that we've thrown out. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the plausibility of something like that.
I'm going to remain consistent until I hear that this has something to do with anything regarding the sign stealing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to jump off the ledge and make any judgments. But what I will say is this. Clearly the guy had the ability.
Yeah.
And clearly he wasn't the only one in the room with his own way of doing whatever he does, cheating whatever he does. But I get it. I don't know if he's cheating or not.
Sure.
The only thing I know is that he's a horn dog.
Yeah.
But I listen, man.
Look, I don't know if those two things are connected either. Like I said, just spitballing ideas as far as things that, you know, might be connected. But again, we have no evidence of that. So I don't want anything to do.